All right, everyone. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. Today is July 21st, 2020. This is episode number 62. And what we're going to take a look at today is stimulating storytelling. So we're going to take a look at trait 56. So, of course, before we jump in and get started, let's say hello to our panel. I don't know if Leanne's going to be able to join us today, but let's start with Chris. Hey, Chris, welcome.
You usually don't start with me. Everybody in the Zoom room was like, look at her go. Who, me? That's me. That's my name. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is going to be fun.
Well, welcome, Chris. Great to have you. Make sure you're awake there.
Yeah, exactly. I am. I'm here.
And hey, Rob, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. Hi, everybody who's watching live, and hello, everybody that's watching the recording.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Rob. Welcome. And Natalie.
Yes, hello, welcome. It's so much fun already. We haven't even started.
Exactly. So why don't we go ahead and get started, and let's take a look again at trait 56, taking a look at stimulating storytelling. So as we have been taking our journey through form, remember it ends with 4 collective voices. And last week we took a look at the details. We took a look at the facts, just the facts, ma'am. And we took a look at I think. We're now going to take a look at the mirror of that. So the mirror of that is stimulation. It's about stories. It's about I believe. So it's, if we have the features, if you will, with the details, the stimulation is the benefits, right? So it is those opposites. And in the next couple of weeks, just so you can be prepared of what's coming up, next week, we're going to talk about influence. This is the focus on the future, and this is I lead. And then we'll take a look at retreat in the 33, which is the focus on the past, which is all about I remember. So that's where we're going. And again, as you can see, if we just take a look at the major themes that are happening, we are still under a lot of mental pressure. We're under a lot of mental pressure, right, to get to that inner truth. So we're still under a lot of that pressure, but now we're going to be telling stories about it. We also have, if you take a look at communication as well, we're back to provoking with our communication. So just to give you a heads up, if you find that within your communications. I don't know if there's anything, Chris or Rob or Natalie, that you would like to add. This happens to be the theme of the day. This happens to be the theme as we're taking a look at this chart at the beginning of our BG5 Live. I didn't know if there was anything else that you see or stands out, or anything that you would like to share about what's coming up this week, or anything that you see in the chart for today.
Karen, yes. Interestingly, so I spend a lot of time on social media just as a result of what I do. And it's not strange, but it's strange that just in the past few days on my thread, like the things that I can see, where there are a lot of people either trying to put stories in front of others in terms of explaining why things are going on, how things are going on, who's this, that, and the other, or they're doing this themselves, right? And it could be anything about the political climate. It could be all kinds of stuff. But just in the past few days, I've really felt the intensity of this and seen the number of posts that are, you know, trying to be stimulating storytellers come across my thread.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Anything that either of you would like to add, or do you want to go ahead and continue? Yes, Chris.
Today I was in teaching foundation class today, and we were talking about the advisors, and I found myself sharing a lot of stories. And at one point I was like, I'm not going to say, no, we got to keep moving on. I don't want to say. And then I thought, No. I got to say it. I have to share this one little story to explain this. And I was kind of laughing at myself going, but anyway, it was appreciated, I think, but it was just, I was laughing at myself going, oh, they're the storyteller.
Yep, exactly. And I think both Rob and Chris, you both have this trait in your design, correct?
Yes.
Amazing. Yep. And that's fascinating that you say that, Chris, because in the class that I was just teaching as well, there was a lot of people telling their story. So it's really interesting to recognize that.
Oh yeah, to just kind of watch and just find myself going, tell more, another level of story of to give the example, or be quiet. And it was like, nah, it's coming. Okay. I'm just gonna go with it. I'm just gonna roll. What I did. So, and we actually ended up on time. I was pretty stoked. So anyway.
Wow.
That's so great. Yeah, I can't wait to hear more from you and Rob also about having this trait as well. So let's dive in and let's take a look at what this trait 56 of stimulation, of storytellers, of I believe, what this is all about. So again, when we take a look at the 56, it's stimulation, it's the wanderer, it's the storyteller. And so if you have this particular trait, it is the natural storyteller. So you use your own past experiences in order to illustrate your concepts and to stimulate others, which it sounds like exactly what you were doing, Chris. And the stories are a journey over time that are designed to encourage the formulation of ideas and the formulation of beliefs. And it's stability through movement. I thought this picture really represented that stability. You can see he's very stable sitting on the rocket, right? But it's the stability through movement. Again, it's the wanderer, it's the storyteller gathering those stories. And you're hungry for new ideas to express in order to call attention to your stories. And here's the thing, ideas, and an idea is never a solution, but it's always a journey, right? So on one side, we have the details and the facts, right? And getting down to it. Here, it's a journey. It's a story. It happens over time. It's emotional. So it's very interesting seeing, what we took a look at last week when we took a look at the 62 and how the 56 is really just the opposite of that. Yeah. So Rob, Chris, Natalie.
Yeah. When I was growing up, I remember very distinctly, I think it was like in kindergarten or something, and this woman came to our gym and we were all sitting on the floor around her, and she was this amazing woman who just had an incredible presence. And she was telling us stories. Normally the teacher would be like, and here, everybody, look, and we'd all go, oh, okay, that's great. But this woman was telling stories and she had no book. And I was like, whoa, I want to do that. And I had no idea what she did, but I just wanted to do that. And in my design, 56 is unconscious. It's red. All my voices are unconscious. And so here I am looking at this woman going, I don't know what she's doing, but I want to do that. I want to be a storyteller. And then fast forward, I don't know, 15, 20 years. And I'm like, I'm going to write a book someday. I knew I was going to write a book, but I didn't know what it was about. I just knew I was going to write a book. And I've always thought, it would be really cool. I wish I could be a good storyteller. I always wanted to be a storyteller. I always thought that would be the coolest job. And, but I would have fear of speaking. I was like, I don't tell stories. I don't know how to do that. Blah, blah, who am I? All this stuff. But anyway, I start writing a book. And in the process of writing this book, I'm introduced to my design. And I have a session with an analyst who looks at my design, and this person says, you have both storytelling gates, the 56 and the 33, but they're unconscious for you. And I go, what? You mean I'm a natural storyteller? And he says, yes. And I go, sweet, okay. And done. The book was done. I was like, it was just instant permission. I have not stopped telling stories since then. Like, they just come. They come so hard and fast that I don't even realize they're coming. And once I really embraced that and learned how to use that as a speaker and how to use that as a writer and a coach and all that, it's been so much fun. So
yeah, and it's part of your driving force, right?
yeah. Oh yeah. It's a big piece of what I do. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing, Chris. And I
Yeah.
love how you shared a story to illustrate it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Of course. Hey, can you imagine that little girl who's just like, oh, I want that, you know? And it's because I recognize that. That's part of one of the things with our clients. We'll see this is if you deeply resonate sometimes with something, it's often in the design unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people go, oh, I could never do that. And we look at their design and go, well, actually, it's in your design. You're naturally here to do that. Now, there's a couple questions, and I just want to say this. Does it mean that if you do not have the 56 or the 33 that you cannot tell a story? No, that's not what this means. So just wanted to make sure that everybody got that
Yeah.
It isn't about whether or not you can tell a story or not. It's just, this is a big part of the way that I am in the world and the way that I express myself.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Beautifully said, Chris. And I love how you started with I remember, which is the 33.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful illustration of that. Love it, Chris. How about for you, Rob? Because you also have this in your design as well.
well, I believe, no, I'm just kidding. So Chris has a phenomenal TED Talk in which you get to see her as a storyteller as well. But Chris, I really liked what you were talking about, because as a kid, I can completely resonate with that as well. Some of my favorite teachers were the ones that didn't walk in the room with books. They told stories, and I've always admired a very good storyteller. It's something that's consistent and reliable in me. It's something that I know about myself. It's interesting as I'm looking at how I use this now professionally. So in my career as a BG5 consultant, I use it quite a bit, right? Especially so I'm an express builder. And for those of you that don't know what that means, I am essentially part of a team of 70% of the planet who our whole goal is I'm the energy to get things done, right? I'm the guy that you tell to dig the hole. That's just, I've got all this energy to get things done, and I'm built to do it efficiently and quickly. And as an express builder, in my both my BG5 consulting, well, in the BG5 consulting practice, that's what we're talking about. See, I'm moving too fast. But when I'm doing a consultation for another express builder, I find that it's easier for me to tell stories, right? Because I can talk about my journey in BG5, both from the application standpoint of one time I did this, or this is how this works, or I remember when, and I believe, and those types of things. And then, but I'm also, outside of that, I do recruiting because leaders need help with talent acquisition. That's one of the things that keep them up at night. And one of the things that I'm realizing now that makes me a stronger recruiter is when I'm speaking with a candidate, I have a very good talent at telling the story of the company and what's going on specifically within that department, the story behind the job description. And then when I get on the phone with the hiring manager with a candidate to present, I'm able to tell their story. So it's interesting to see how this is all extrapolated through the different things that I do here. So, and admittedly, but as a marketer, right? For myself, especially, I could probably do a better job of using stories. I don't typically use them, so to speak. I think they just happen for me more organically, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. And you can see, in a sense, the difference of how Rob uses stories and how Chris uses stories, right? For Chris, it's really her driving force and it's unconscious. you know, for Rob, it's part of the maturing energy, but it's also someplace where, you know, you're real natural, Rob. Whereas with Chris, it's more of a kind of a trial and error.
Mm.
You know, so it's kind of interesting to see how those dynamics show up. Beautiful. And Natalie, is there anything that you'd like to add just in general about the 56?
Oh, I too remember that. No, it is fascinating, and I love people who can tell great stories. And both you, Rob, and Chris, I know you in class and assisting me, and it's just fascinating those the ways that you can express yourself. So that's real cool, and it's a beautiful trait. And what I especially like about it is that it is also it tells a story from remembrance, but also with a how do you say that, with a reason to get something across, right? It's to get a lesson across, or to get the oh, we have a beautiful saying in Dutch.
Say it in Dutch.
Hè? Ja,
Say
de
it in
moraal
Dutch.
van het verhaal. So the moral of the story, right?
Yes.
So it's something like that, yeah. So and there's great sharing in the Facebook as well, like a lot of people sharing that they have it or have a story about it, and somebody has it as a bridging trait as well. So just asked how it's going this week. So if you have it as a bridging trait, you probably now have an easier way to communicate what your thoughts are, right? Because it's connected up with you know, your mind.
Yep,
So,
exactly. I have the 11 on the other side.
yeah, I do.
Yeah, but I don't have the 56. And so even in taking a look at, let me see if I can pull up my chart here. Yeah, so you can see I have the 11 here, but I don't have the 56. So, you know, in connecting that up, having more of an ability, the 11 is are these ideas, right? And sometimes I have all these ideas, but sometimes it's more difficult to express what those ideas are, or express those ideas in a story. And especially if you don't have that trait, this is one of the things when you were talking, Chris, you know, it's like, God, I wish I could be a better storyteller. I'm not very good at telling stories. And it's always this kind of a struggle because it's not defined. So I can't express it in the same way or with the same flow as other people who do have that 56.
Karen, it's cool that you showed us this. So knowing this, reflect on our interview last week and see how that like came alive, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so, you know, what the wonderful thing is, you know, when we're talking about the bridging trait, right, Rob brings that, right? So in doing the interview with Rob that we did last week, I was able to share those stories in having that connection. So yeah, great illustration of that, Rob.
Beautiful. We have Lisa Murray that has the full strength. And she shares, I love to tell stories and write poetry. I visually get lost in capturing my movie that runs through my mind and what is felt in my body. I have a great urge to express and to write. I also admire others that I can listen to, that speak with beauty. I can visualize and take it in. I get lost in the moment. I always have the 33 as well. And the 35 as well. So lots of feelings and reflecting. Yeah.
Very beautifully shared. Thank you for sharing that.
It's interesting when you're talking about the 11, because I don't have the 11. One of the things that I'm aware of is that when I have clients or I'm working with someone who does have trait 11, it's like but they don't have the 56, is that I just was thinking about a client who had this incredible download of a program and is so brilliant. And working with her, it was like I would see the whole thing as a picture, as a movie, and I'd leave her messages and I'd say, it's like this, and I'd just tell all these stories about what I was seeing, and then she would get it at a deeper level, and then I would share more about the story that described the idea. And it was so, it wasn't something that I was thinking about. It was like it came out of my body. It wasn't, it was visual. I could see it like a movie, but it was really, yeah, it's like that. So when I'm sitting in class and we're teaching and I see all the details, trait 62, there's all these details of the science of design. Then my 56 is like, yeah, but what does it feel like in the body? And how do I pull it together in a simple way and tell a story so that people can remember it all the time? If I think about doing that, it doesn't work. But if I just do it, it works.
Yep.
Kind of how the conscious unconscious is. And so I was thinking about that when you were commenting, Rob, and also when you guys were talking about the bridging, the 56 and the 11.
Yeah, that's a great illustration of that, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's actually take a look at this just a little bit further. Let's take a look at the quality that we happen to be in as well. So we're in quality 4, and remember, quality 4 is about influencing. It's the influencer, and it's expediency. And the elevation is the gift for stimulation as a role for protection. The perfection of the superficial personality that can mask, when essential, the true feelings to secure protection. You can also see the challenge of it, the fear of silence and being uncovered, the expedient behavior whose price is a constant stressful alertness and nervous anxiety in fear of losing what has been gained, the role as a reality. And so you see actually a lot of comedians or a lot of people who, in a sense, sort of cover up whatever their feelings are, through acting, through performing. And so, a lot of comedians, and happens to be one of our celebrities today, is a comedian, right? That what you see, this perfection of the superficial personality, which is really, in a sense, a mask or a protection for whatever their true feelings are underneath. Did you want to say more about that, Chris?
Well, are you saying I'm hiding something? No. Because I am, actually. I am. No, no, I get it. I think that there's because it's the emotions, because this is experiential, I think that there's a way of knowing how to express emotion or not, to either get the laugh or to protect, and really look at how much humor in some ways is a deflection of there's something going on underneath, and it's sort of like, let's just kind of laugh, and then we don't have to deal with what's really going on there.
Yeah. Really good point,
I think
Chris.
that does happen. And for those of us who carry this trait, may, when it gets uncomfortable, again, if it's unconscious and have an undefined emotional intelligence function, might definitely go there. Like, yeah, I don't want anybody to know what's really going on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, interesting. Yeah,
remember, we still are going to have this play, aren't we? and then
yes.
So you're not only like the great storyteller, but also visualizing, and we were going to dress up one day. What was it again, for Christmas or something?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Maybe we still do, but that's part of the stimulating storytelling, right? Make it visual, right, as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How about for you, Rob?
I don't really have much to add on this one in specific. Yeah.
That's
sorry.
Okay.
I actually
not trying to, squelch anything. I just, don't feel prompted or have the energy to share anything specific.
Yeah.
There is something else I would share about this trait 56. I'll take Rob's spot there, but I'll just jump right in uninvited. Is that it's a stop codon. And so one of the things about trait 56 is, if you think about it, if trait 41 is a start codon, trait 56 is one of the stop codons. And the way that I like to think of this as a coach, or when I was a therapist, is that you know, people have stories that they're telling themselves about life and about others and about what happened and about what's going to happen. And oftentimes we're living out the story that we have, not what's really happening, but through the story that we tell ourselves about it. And one of the things that I notice in myself too is that I'll be working with someone and I'll be like, stop it. Like, stop that story. No, it's not. And it comes out that abrupt at times, because it's like, I can see, no, we have to put a period at the end of that. We're done with that. That is a story that is not serving you. And so just as another meaning or way to look at trait 56, is it can stimulate story of what you want to tell. A new story. Let's tell a new story about how things are going, or how they went. Not to override it, but to create something that empowers people.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, and Lotus Sang was saying, you know, in sharing something, she has the gate 11, and there's always the desire to listen to stories. And I use it to do journalism. And the most fascinating thing, to do interviews with so many different people with diversified experiences. And, you know, so, you know, what are the stories that are being, you know, told in the collective, right? This is a collective trait. What are the stories that we're telling ourselves, just like Chris was talking about? You know, taking a look at all of those stories, and are the stories true or are the stories not, right? The stories don't need to be true, right? We use our imagination to make up the stories, but oftentimes the stories also have a point at the end as well. So, you know, and I think that's also a very fascinating way of looking at things, Chris, too, is also, you know, what are the stories that we tell ourselves? What are the stories? Remember, this is about I believe. So it's really, it's very interesting that I believe is also connected to storytelling, right? So, you know, your stories play into what you believe.
Exactly. And if you think about it too, our beliefs are a story plus emotion. You know, if you don't have a strong belief in something, whether it can be or it can't be, like, you know, that whatever you believe, it's true, and that has an emotion behind it. If you just have a recurring thought but it doesn't really have an emotion behind it, it doesn't really kind of stick in there as a belief. And so it's not a fluke that it's in this experiential circuitry that has to do with emotions. And so again, for those of us who are doing belief work or mindset work, to be looking at how people are telling their stories and the emotion behind it. And you know, is it true, and how can we, you know, discharge the emotion to rewrite the story?
Yeah. And the stories happen over time as well, right? It's not something that's instant in the moment. It's something that builds and that we gain experience in, and there's reasons why we believe it over time.
Yep.
Yeah. Beautifully said. And I'd like to take a, did you have something, Natalie?
Yeah, I just love what Lisa shared again, that she has the full strength. And some people are very mundane and boring for me. And some can catch me like, whoa.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And Lotus Sang was also saying, you know, life is telling stories about yourself through practice, you believe. Yeah. Very, very nicely said. And the celebrity that we have is David Spade. He's an actor and a comedian. And if you take a look at, I don't know if you've ever seen Joe Dirt, but Joe Dirt really, I think, represents what his life work theme is all about. So his life work theme is laws. You're an effective storyteller who stimulates others with your idealistic opinions and beliefs. Your magic is spun around promises and the dreams of the dreamer. And if you've ever seen the movie, he's basically, the way that it's set up is he's being interviewed on the radio, and he's basically telling his life story, and he's looking for his parents and all of the stuff that came along, and everybody gets really engaged in his whole story. But it really is this magic that's spun around the promises and the dreams of the dreamer. And so I just thought that that was a perfect representation of that as well. And like I mentioned before, you'll often find, a lot of comedians, and it's really fascinating that he has this 56-4, as we were talking about, sort of this mask that, is protection in a sense from those feelings as well. And he does it quite well. I don't know if there's anything, Rob or Chris or Natalie, that you want to expound upon, or anything that you see or notice that you would also like to add.
He has a funny face, but I don't know the guy.
Well, I mean, when I look at David's anthology, there is a common thread there, right? Because I saw him in the Tommy Boy movie, which is listed here, but then the prolific work that he did in Saturday Night Live. I mean, it was, so I look at the work that he did as it pertains to the Storyteller, as he is kind of telling this story through his character one, but then the complete set and just the scene and everything. So what I would think for him, he probably just felt so exhilarated in being able to exercise that, and I don't know if he's conscious of the fact that this is his life work or not, but you look at what he's done, and it's just very telling.
Yeah, exactly. Well, very, very cool. Well, if you want to learn more about your own story, right? That's one of the things we take a look at in BG5, is really understanding. We've been one of the classes we're teaching right now is the cycles course, and one of the things we're talking about is, in a sense, the story of your life and the story of your life unfolding, and it really starts with the journey. And the journey through BG5 really starts with checking out what your design is. So if you're not familiar with what we do, you can get a free report. So be sure to visit our website if you want to find out what the story of the day is, right? That's what we take a look at. When we take a look at the theme for the day, you can, on the homepage, you can scroll down and find BG5 Live. That's where you can see what the theme is for the day, what the storyline is for the day. And you can also watch past episodes as well if you want to find out more about BG5 Live or the BG5 Business Institute. And also check out our courses and programs. We recommend starting with the BG5 Foundation course. It is a way to really start to understand both yourself and others. And it's a really exciting way to do that. And Rob is just starting doing interviews, and he has a whole list of really exciting interviews that he's going to be doing. We just did the first one last week. I was wondering, Rob, if you wanted to say a little bit about the interviews and your intention behind this, and inspire people with what we're going to be putting together here.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you, Karen. I love video, and I think that video is so easy to consume, and it tells a story, right? So last week I was lucky enough to interview Karen. We grabbed 30 minutes and we had a fantastic conversation. I asked her 4 questions that really opened her up and gave us all within the community an opportunity to learn about her, outside of what we might experience with her, maybe as she's a teacher or anything else. And so if you haven't seen that interview yet, it's housed on the BG5 Business Institute Facebook page. and it's also on the YouTube page. But what you can expect in the future from me is I've got a ton of interviews lined up. So you'll be given the opportunity to learn more about the instructors and who they are and how they got here, etc. And then you'll also have an opportunity to see current viewpoints of current students on current courses. So for example, my intention is to interview someone as they're going through the foundation course so that those that are looking at the foundation course can see it from their viewpoint, right? Not just those that are affiliated with the Institute. And I'm going to do the same thing along the path all the way through. So Foundation 1 and Foundation 2 to the certification courses, as well as OC16, and we'll continue to get further. So you'll probably see stuff in the future from me about the cycles courses as well, or course as well, and the OC16 course. And then it's just going to continue to extrapolate from there.
Yeah. We're really excited about that, Robin. I think it's a great way just to get to know everyone, and a great way to just kind of find out more about what we do and what people's experiences are. So really looking forward to that.
And I love that it's on Fridays and with a good tune. It's really really brilliant.
Yeah, good things happen on Friday, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, let's go ahead and see if there's any remaining questions, any remaining comments, and then we'll wrap everything up with our thoughts for the day, or things that people can pay attention to over the next few days as we're in this Stimulating Storyteller.
So Lotus does have something that she's entered into the chat. She says, I have a question. This is my first time to see our advisors vivid. So she's very thrilled. And she's from China, and she's read the whole book of The Science of Differentiation. So good job. That's fantastic. And she wants to do more learning with us, but wonders which to pick. So Lotus, I'd be more than happy to communicate with you after class or after this BG5 Live about that. So thank you for asking.
Yeah. And, and as far as the curriculum goes, probably the best place to start is with the BG5 Foundation course. If you are looking at studying and going in deeper, that's a really great place to start. And yeah, if any of you, want to have a conversation with Rob, if you're kind of questioning what direction you want to go, or, where do I start? What should I do? He's a great person to contact and get in touch with. So
yeah, and you do not have to go on video live on Facebook and YouTube every time. And you can just talk to him as well.
Right, exactly. Perfect. All right. Anything else from Facebook?
Yeah, well, regards from Edgar. He's here almost every week, so he says thank you for today, dear ones. So yay, Edgar is one of our more advanced students. So no, nothing else from Facebook.
All right. And Belinda says, yes, I loved it too. As a storyteller, love it. Yeah, actually, Belinda and I were able to meet each other in person the other day. And it was so fun meeting with you. It was amazing. It was so funny. We were sitting down in a cafe and we're like, blah, 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 blah. And if somebody had listened to our conversation, they would have no clue what we're talking about, because we're like, oh, and the 56 and the 59.6 and this and this. We're talking about all the traits and everything. It was hilarious. But it was really, really fun.
Yeah, and she shares you connected the channel, the 1156. Yeah, so that's what happened.
Yeah, it was so much fun. It was so great to meet you in person, Belinda. Very cool. Yeah. So if ever you're in Colorado, let me know. Anyone. So love to connect up and meet people in person. It's such a rare thing. Especially nowadays, right?
Nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. Really come to appreciate that. So we'll start with Natalie. And
Yeah.
what
Oh,
are things that you want to leave people with, or things to pay attention to or watch as we move through the 56? And remember, we're moving into we're going to be moving into, and we'll be talking about it next week. What are we moving into? Into the leader, right? Into the, or influence in the 31.
no, yeah. Well, as Rob was sharing, just watch or listen for the beautiful stories that are shared this week, and I just was totally sitting back and enjoying today's show. So yeah,
Love it.
and there is somebody on Facebook already asking what city in Colorado.
So what's your address?
What's your address, please?
Phone number.
Yeah, I live just outside of Denver.
So now you know I'm just outside of Denver, so
Yeah,
just
perfect.
write her an email and
Perfect. Excellent. And what about for you, Rob?
So what I have to say is going to sound sort of like Natalie's. It's, pay attention to the stories. They show up for a reason. It may not feel very significant at the time, but they're there for you, right? It's for you. So enjoy that, right? And just stories make the life, right? So just enjoy them.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Thank you for sharing that, Rob. And how about for you, Chris?
Yeah, so a couple layers. One is like we are in a big story, just like Rob was saying, this is the story, it's a movie. And so can you sit back and watch the different threads and the different storylines that are happening and just watch them and see which ones feel engaging to you and which ones resonate for you at a deep level. And and then also on a more personal level, what stories are you done with? What
Mm,
stories are you done with? Where have you been living a certain story? In order to do this, I have to do this, or I'm doing this so that I can do this, or if I do this, then oh my gosh, people will think this. Whatever the story is, even if you have a ton of evidence, and your body is like, oh, we have all this evidence. It's like, can you look at it from a different place and say, is this story serving me anymore?
mm,
And is it time to give yourself the experience of a new story? And guess what? You get to do that. You get to be the storyteller of your life.
yeah.
So the watcher of the movie, and the movie, in some ways you get to direct it a little bit too.
Yeah, I love that, Chris. I love that, Chris. Ra often talked about, right, being able to watch the movie and ultimately as self-reflected consciousness is being able to really truly align with your design, trust your design, and really, in a sense, be the passenger, right? Enjoy the show, enjoy the movie, enjoy the story. And oftentimes we get caught up with all of the missteps and the mistakes and all the stuff that we didn't like about ourselves or our lives and everything else. And it can lead to a downward spiral where when we can take a look at it from a different perspective, like this is the story of our life. And if I didn't have all of those things, my life would be boring. Right? If you're going to watch a movie, you want to have some drama and you want to have some emotion and you want to have some ups and you want to have some downs, right? That's what makes life so rich, and it's what makes life so exciting. Taking a look at the story of our life and seeing the story of our life unfolding. And so it's a really beautiful thing. So embrace the stories that empower you. As Chris was saying, kind of take a look at the stories that are no longer no longer empowering, and how can you let those go? Replace them with new stories. We always have, again, it's a story, so we have the opportunity, right, to shift our beliefs, to shift our stories, and to take in different stories and different perspectives and looking at things in all kinds of different ways. So the magic of storytelling, right? just like you said at the very beginning, Chris, right? You can teach by facts, right? And this and that and blah, 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 and all the detail, you know, or you can also learn and teach through the stories. And that's really what we're being taught through life, right? Through our life, we're being taught that story of our own life. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. It has been fabulous. Loved all the stories. Continue to listen to those stories, and we'll see you next week when we'll take a look at influence. All right, everyone, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.